So, welcome to the Good Food community, where we are attempting to connect the dots between human health and the food that we eat and the soil. And we are trying to connect with people who we feel are doing a job at approaching food in this way. So, we are talking to people who are regenerative farmers or who have regenerative agriculture at their heart. They are change makers, they are doing things differently, they are fish swimming upstream essentially, and we're talking to inspiring people who are going to hopefully inspire change. And when we say change, we are saying we're hoping to inspire people to think about food differently, how it affects their body, and how they can support the people who are trying to support the same aims. And what better way to start this off than by talking to Megan Wood of Essenwood Microdairy. Meg is a premium producer of raw milk, but also 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. But we're going to be focusing first and foremost on the raw dairy side of things. So I'm just going to jump straight in with some of the cool things about raw dairy, because let's be honest, like we've got to remember why we are doing this, because it sounds to me like it's hard work. I mean, I just learned from you, Meg, that you wake up at 4 in the morning. I mean, you've got to love what you do to be able to get up at 4 in the morning every day. And it's
Yeah,
hard work,
you
and
really do.
this type of
Yeah.
farming requires so much of you. So I'm gonna just I'm gonna ask you, like,
Mm.
why raw milk? Like, tell me the benefits of raw milk and why you specifically go to such lengths to produce raw milk specifically.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you for your time and everything. It's very exciting. So thanks a lot for the opportunity. But yeah, for me, raw milk, I actually just stumbled upon it, to be honest. I didn't have a dairy, didn't have a farm. I was sitting in my residential home, but absolutely desperate to farm. And so I was, and always dairy had been something. If I went to, my husband comes from farming background. If ever I was, we had lots of friends with farms, and if ever I was near a dairy or something, it definitely was something that my heart would just start pumping whenever I was around a dairy. It was something that caught my attention more than other sort of spheres of farming. But and so I literally just I can't even say why, but I started to investigate dairy and milking my own cow, that sort of thing. And I sort of came across raw dairy and I thought, what is this? Why is it different? And it was something I hadn't even considered. You just it there was no sort of I had actually always bought raw milk from a friend of mine while my children were growing up, but I didn't think about it. It was just raw milk. I don't know if that makes sense, but I didn't realize the benefits of it at that time. I just thought it was more natural milk, maybe. I didn't realize how bad pasteurized milk was. Yeah, I honestly didn't realize the difference between the two. And then when I stumbled upon people sort of selling raw milk and it was a thing, I started to investigate it and was blown away by the difference in the two. They are, it's not, they are chalk and cheese, the two types of milk. And even with, yeah, so I suppose I just really, um, but after finding out the vast difference between the two products, I was just amazed and I couldn't get enough information on it. I just actually became like crazy to find out as much as I could about it. Yeah.
You're
Um,
addicted.
so I'm a big chat GPT. So I chat GPT some of the benefits of raw milk. So
Mm.
first one that comes up, which I just love, is it's got a high nutrient content. So
Mm.
I mean, you'll know more about this than me, but it retains more enzymes, vitamins like A, B, and C, and beneficial bacteria, which we know, um, you know, obviously count and help so much with regulation of the gut. Um,
Yeah.
so and these are obviously reduced in pasteurization. So when you say that milk, regular pasteurized, homogenized milk that you buy in the store is not great. So can you speak more to that compared to the, to raw milk?
Yeah, yeah. Raw milk is most like breast milk. It's the product that is the most like breast milk in all the nutrients and everything. If you go across to pasteurized milk, and all the other kinds of milk that you get, it is very interesting to see how things are in, breast milk and raw milk, everything is there, okay? Everything. Whether beneficial enzymes, diverse probiotics, lactase producing bacteria, healthy fats, your CLA, DHA, EPA, AA, your proteins, your bioavailable vitamins, bioavailable calcium, phosphorus, immunoglobulin. Yeah. And then so those are all there in human breast milk and in raw milk. But once you go over to pasteurized, they are either inactive, destroyed, damaged, reduced, or inhibited. It just depends which one you're looking at. But that is how it works for for each of those things. There's not one that is um, not denatured, I should say, in some form or another.
I mean,
So it's just completely different. It really is.
I think it's the heat process of the pasteurization that kills those
It is from 65 degrees, I mean, which is actually still quite a low temperature, really.
Really?
But from
Yeah.
65 degrees Celsius, everything starts to change.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, for
And
all of
therefore
those
it makes it
items.
digestible. It's just basically not digestible. So there's
It
so much
is.
talk these days around lactose intolerance. When
Mm.
actually it's not lactose intolerance so much as it's
Yeah.
now
Well,
you're
actually,
missing important enzymes that
98.
would have aided that digestion.
Yeah, 98, sorry to interrupt you. 98% of people that are told they are lactose intolerant are actually just pasteurization intolerant. 98%. It's a huge percentage.
yeah.
Yeah, which is just showing. And if you have a look under a microscope, what the actual particles of the milk look like once they've been denatured, they are very, I don't know what the right terms are for what you're seeing, but you can see little globules in the milk before the denaturing process.
Yeah.
But then once after that, it just looks like you're looking like a gray piece of paper. Everything is so tiny.
Megs, I've
And
actually put your
yeah,
milk under my microscope and I do see the globules. And I thought, okay, maybe that's the fat
okay.
globules. And I didn't obviously
No,
have any
that's amazing
shop.
because
Yeah.
I've only seen.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I didn't compare because I don't buy like other milk. So I will go buy some.
Yeah.
I can send you both and maybe could be something interesting to show
Yes.
visually.
It would be lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Amazing. Hey.
Yeah.
So it really
And
is
just
totally different.
I wanted to ask you, Meg, if there's do you have like some personal sort of anecdotal stories of like, the switch or no, like, did you notice a big difference from having regular store-bought, homogenized, pasteurized dairy as compared to raw dairy? Because I
For
mean, I
us
have friends,
personally.
I've got one friend specifically who, she actually was ordering your milk for her coffee shop when they were still running it. And
Mm.
she could have the milk and like a glass of milk, but the minute she had a cappuccino, over
Mm.
time she had to stop because she wasn't able to digest it properly. And I know certainly in my own case with having, sorry to get personal, with breastfeeding my own
Mm.
boys, I had to cut off regular store-bought dairy altogether because even with consuming store-bought dairy, it wasn't enough to, for my boys not to have a reaction as well. So to be perfectly honest, I haven't had dairy in a long time because what's been available to me locally has not been
Yeah.
digestible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the same thing. I cannot have a milkshake or anything from the shops. The pain I get is just terrible. My children don't notice such a big difference, but then they're younger and sometimes you are more tolerant, as you get older. Sometimes
Yes.
and especially that I've been on raw milk for such a long time now, if I have other shop milk, there's definitely a reaction.
Yeah.
But for us, as I said, I had been giving my children raw milk for many, many years. So without knowing anything, without realizing, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So, yeah,
I can remember when I lived in Underberg, we would get milk from this little, he'd sort of set up a make do shop, and I mean the taste was second to none. I mean, we couldn't. I remember
mm,
like vividly. I remember vividly that the taste was just vastly different to the regular store-bought stuff. I'll leave out names, but yeah, I just remember being blown away by the taste. And that's so.
yeah.
What comes into the taste when it comes to the
Well,
raw
it's
dairy?
definitely sweeter. And the children, people that we've had with their children actually visiting, as soon as the children taste it, literally every single child just their eyes open wide and they say, "It's so sweet." They all
Yes.
say that.
So
So that's it really. I suppose it's just the lactase maybe hasn't been denatured. I'm not sure why,
Yeah.
but it is
And also
sweeter.
the
I
creaminess.
suppose all the cream is there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah, it's like a
yes.
milkshake.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I actually make every time I pick up on a Monday, the boys get a glass of your milk, but I put a little bit of vanilla extract in it because it's become a tradition. But they like Luca especially. I've seen you the videos. Like Luca loves your milk,
He
and
loves it.
he's basically a baby cow because he drinks much milk. And I'm just so happy that he's drinking raw, healthy milk. So he's getting all those
Yeah,
times. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, it's really rewarding just
You
to
know,
getting him maximum nutrition as well.
yeah. My husband is such a healthy person, and he grew up on a farm, raw milk, yeah, lots of fats, lots of meat. And it's really, I mean, his health is really outstanding. His teeth, his bones, everything. It's really incredible. And that goes back to the Western AS Foundation and what that Dr. Price came with, all those ancient civilizations that were on raw milk. He couldn't believe, I'm sure you've come across that. He couldn't believe the teeth, the bone structure, the straight teeth, all those things. And that's what we've always, be heard, but it is a real thing. It really is incredible.
I wanted to actually just dive into like why are we insisting on pasteurized, homogenized milk? And so, what are the perceived dangers when it comes to raw milk? Like, why is it just not the norm in the shops?
Yeah. It was something I heard quite recently, actually. Somebody just said, pasteurization was a solution for a problem from times gone by. They didn't have
Mm.
the knowledge of hygiene and all the testing we can do now, all the things that we can do now. So
Yeah.
it was a solution for the 1800s where they had major problems. And it is so unnecessary now, because we have all that other knowledge and we know how to be careful and whatever. But and in actual fact, I mean, I take great care in that because I am hypersensitive to something ever going wrong. But if going back to my husband, when I first met him and I used to go to their home, to just be a worker milking the cow by hand. And the milk used to be put on the kitchen table. Flies were in there, bits of debris. I was like horrified, and I wouldn't drink it. But they're such strong people that their family, and I don't think we even have to be that careful with milk. Really, I think everyone is just,
Well,
it's
this,
that
this is
word
what
again,
I was
hypersensitive
trying
to
to
cleanliness now.
what I was trying to understand is, so what is the actual risk? And from what I understand, it's E. coli, it's Listeria, and Salmonella. But if you think about it logically, like these are pathogens that are present everywhere. They're present in soil, they're present in water, they're present on
Your
vegetables that you
vegetables,
could buy in the store.
huge.
So what you're not pasteurizing your carrots. So like, why are we insisting on pasteurizing milk? So
Yeah,
I guess milk is
yeah,
one single source, and therefore, if someone does get sick, they could possibly, it's an easy thing to trace it back to. However, if you're having, a salad, then you've got all manner of things in there. Like, how do you possibly trace where you picked up the E. coli or the Listeria or the Salmonella?
exactly,
And yeah, so
exactly.
I can 100%, I've, yeah, it was a process that was invented by Louis Pasteur for a specific time in history, but now we know more. So
Mm.
like, can we not relax some of the, some of the laws around this.
So
Yeah.
So let me just chime in there. I think that like I've been to Meg's farm, and like one day I'm gonna have a farm, but sometimes I farm sit when Meg's and Kim's goes away, and like I know the protocols and the hygiene standards that Meg's how to conducts on in the dairy, and so because I've seen how strict those measures are, I trust because I've seen it. So like that's why I also know where it's coming from. I know how it's coming from the cow. I know the cleanliness methods that are being used between each bucket. It's like consistent, and it's measured, and it's controlled. And I'm just thinking that if say, for example, I had to move somewhere else and I had to look for raw milk, it would be a bit of a trust issue for me finding from another raw milk provider, because I'd have to go to them and develop a relationship with them like I did with Meg's. And luckily Meg's is open to getting to know people who are interested. But if people wouldn't invite me to their farm to come look at the process, I wouldn't feel great about it. I wouldn't feel peace of mind. And so I think when it comes to being careful with regards to pathogens and health risks, you also have to think about what's going on in someone's stomach at the time. And, maybe they already have a bias towards certain, because of their imbalanced diets. And so trying something new could upset their stomach, because maybe the populations in their gut were already biased and not diverse, not diverse
Healthy.
enough. Not healthy. Because we do all have E. coli in our gut. It's just to know that that population is not going to overwhelm us and completely, take us out, because we have to.
I didn't know
live
that.
in
I
a
didn't know that we have
balance.
a cone like that already. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
So it's just basically making sure that what
Levels.
doesn't feed that population. I mean, so
Yeah.
but yeah,
The one thing that is quite important in our country is TB and brucellosis. So those are two things that are slightly separate from the E. coli, the Salmonella, Listeria, and that sort of thing. And the brucellosis is it is quite an important thing. Yeah, but that is something that it was a big deal for me. Well, it still is, So we do vaccinate against that, and I test my cows. You take blood from them to test that, or a milk sample. So I take blood because it's a quicker answer and it's more exacting. So I do that twice a year. Yeah, but that is one thing that's slightly different, but that could be dangerous for people in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of funny, well, maybe this is something I shouldn't be saying, but a lot of commercial dairies have it.
And that's what I was going to
A lot.
ask next. How is your regime different to a commercial dairy? Your immunization or whatever else regime?
I do a lot less than them. I think it's just numbers. It's just being a commercial big setup. And if those farms are near to sort of like what do you want to call I don't want to say locations, but rural areas, which a lot of them are, then you've got cattle. What can happen is a jackal can eat afterbirth or something from a cow that's aborted and then it can come into your farm and it can be spread like that. So it can be from a jackal or something. So it is something that you have to test for. You've just got to be, but a lot of people have rural cattle coming onto their farms and infecting their animals. That's the general way it's spread.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have cattle coming and going. They've got a beef operation on the side. There's cows moving in and off those farms, coming from other farms, coming from sale yards, all sorts of things. So we don't have any movement of cattle at all. When my cows are finished here, they go into the deep freeze. So, and there's nothing new coming in.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
waiting.
so much of this comes down to, what Nat said is, knowing your farmers, so having a relationship with where your food comes from,
Yeah.
and transparent on your part, Meg, to, and a sense of diligence on your part to, so that the consumer knows that you are doing your part to ensure, that there are, good hygiene protocols that are, worked out in your dairy, and that, communication with your people who are buying from you, to be able to just keep them in the loop as to, how, what's going on in your farm. So,
Yeah.
and then you as the consumer to say, you know what, like, I know this food is more nutrient dense, more wholesome, better for me health wise. And therefore, you take the risk in that way. But then if I think about it, if you're buying store-bought food, you have absolutely no idea what's happened to that food. You don't know how it was produced. You don't know what happened in the transportation of the food. You don't know how what's happened in the presenting of the food in the grocery
Yeah.
store. And
You really don't.
there's actually iterations really for
Yeah.
things to go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to
And
the
I have looked into, like, I wanted to know for myself, what are the rates of E. coli in raw dairy and pasteurized dairy and all those sort of things. So I have looked up a lot of graphs and things. There's not too much information available here, so it's generally coming American results and
Yeah.
things. But just to say what you were saying, Katie, is that E. coli and that the tops is the highest results of E. coli and Listeria and Salmonella all coming through in vegetables before raw milk. And there are a few cases of people getting very sick from milk in the USA, but each case was actually a pasteurized product. It was pasteurized milk. There isn't
Oh,
one
wow.
milk.
Hmm.
So it's pasteurized milk. There was there's quite a bit of information about that, which is very interesting. So why there is this why it is so demonized is actually the question. Really, it is. And
Yeah.
I've also listening to a lot of American podcasters. There's a group I follow called the Raw Milk Institute in America, and they are trying, because there are quite a few states where it's illegal, they are trying to change the legislation, and they've got lawyers fighting it, and it's a very interesting website. If you had to go and have a look, there's some interesting things there. But what was I going to say? I've got, it'll come back to me. But yeah, it's really interesting how they say that why raw milk is demonized. That's right. They're looking into the reasons why, and it goes back to the farmer actually having the power. When you have this little, like we have here, if it had to be upscaled for a larger system, I'm in control of the price. I'm in control of every sphere. When you understand the commercial farmers here, they have no say in what's going on, whether it's the health of their cow, the way, everything. They are told what to do by the MPO, which is the Milk Producers Organization. They actually have no say over what's happening on their farms, right down, obviously, we all know, to the price. They have no say in anything. And so to me, it's very interesting. I think it's a power thing. It's very interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a power thing.
Yeah, the milk, I've spoken a lot to, I'm trying to find out more about the Milk Producers Organization in South Africa. It's very hard to find out who really is at the top. It's a very interesting setup. And I've met quite a few of the people, actually welcoming them here because I want to know more, and I want to fight the legislation here, because we should be allowed to choose, and they want to stop raw milk people from supplying raw milk, um, and it was very interesting. They gave me a whole booklet, and this, the pharmaceutical companies like Zoetis and all these big pharmaceutical brands. If you look at the back, they are the people that are sponsoring this book. And this book, it's like a manual, really. And it goes down to vaccinating your cows, all the cow health. There's udder health, so all the chemicals that you use for udder health, all the chemicals across the range are all coming from these overseas pharmaceutical companies, and that's who they're paying MPO to supply this booklet. So it is very interesting. No
And
one
it's
seems to
not
be
just the
arguing.
MPO, it's milk buyers as well that are
I
dictating
imagine
things to
so.
farmers. And they're the
I
ones that are
imagine
paying the
so.
milk checks at the end of the day,
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
it's
and they also
there's a
under those
lot, yeah.
standards because the chemicals that they're using in their factories, everything, it's all coming from these pharmaceutical places. It's very
Mm,
interesting.
mm,
Yeah, I couldn't believe
I
it
want to
actually.
answer one of the many questions that we were wondering. So on your website, you practice a calf at foot method to the way you do your dairy farming. Can you speak more about that? And maybe Rob, you can speak to kind of how it works in a more sort of commercial setting. And yeah, how do you differ, Meg?
So it's just kind of the old-fashioned way. It's nothing really new under the sun, but it's just when the calf is born, usually in the commercial system, the mum keeps it for a day or so. They're there, and then it's taken away. So we just leave them with their moms. So there's no change at all in the normal raising, and she will keep her calf till it differs with every cow. But it's about 5, 6 months, and then we wean gently with the nose ring, so they actually stay together even on, further on. Yeah, so there's no, trauma really. And it's interesting because I had a cow a couple of years ago who lost her calf. It died at birth. It's the only one we have lost. And I could tell because I knew her so well because of our small system. I could tell for about 3 months, 2.5 to 3 months, she was honestly depressed. There was such a change in her personality from the cow I had before she calved to yeah, for 2.5 months down the line. It was very interesting until I saw her sort of come back to who she used to be. So I just
Aw.
think, yeah. And the lady from actually from ARC, which is also a more governmental milk testing organization. He was talking to me the other day about, he said the somatic count, which is a test we do to test the uh, the somatics, the quality of the milk. Um,
Mm.
he said for the first couple of weeks when the cow has given birth, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons, but he just said usually the somatics are very high when a cow
Yes,
first gives birth.
mm.
And I just wonder, it's nothing proven, but I wonder if it's something to do with them also being unhappy and depressed at that time because they've had their calf
Mm.
taken away. You know, yeah.
I
But
think that's definitely something that we need to look into because it makes complete sense when they are stressed, their somatic cell counts go up. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Mm.
So there's things that need investigating, but I don't know how to go about that.
When you say somatic cell counts go up, does that mean the cow gets a little, is it like if it's a high score, it's a little bit on the unhealthy side? It's not desirable.
Yeah, I think it's Robin, you might be able to help me. I think the sort of it's the sort of the unhealthy bacteria, I think, in the milk goes up slightly.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so. So
It's
a high
tending
somatic
towards the
cell,
mastitis case. Hey,
yeah, so a high somatic cell count is not necessarily milk that won't be consumed, but in general, especially milk buyers, they want to see those counts within a certain range. I don't actually know what that range is, but they want them lowered. So you want to, as a dairy farmer generally, especially with the big guys, they're always looking to get their somatic cell counts below a certain level. But whenever so for instance, when it snowed here, a month or so ago, a few days later, somatic cell counts went up. So it is affected by different things. That's why it would make sense that stress would cause these things to increase.
Megs, are you watching your somatic counts? What are your counts after?
Oh, I would have to run quickly to get I've got them here, but they're meant to be below a certain level, and that is not telling me on this piece of paper that I've got.
No,
That would be
but they're not.
I'd like to tell you. No, frighteningly low.
And so
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Where you have,
because this is data.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nat.
No, go.
This is data we need to share with the industry. This is stuff that they can't be ignoring if you have consistently low somatic cell counts,
Yeah. No, I do a monthly test with a whole lot of other farmers. So I get, they all as well, we all get back a piece of paper with everyone's number. You don't know who's who, but everyone's got a number, and then everyone's results are there. And mine are like, I think most people are above 100. I think you've got to be less than 500,000 or something. And most people are around about 100, ranging around there. Some people are up to 300. It just depends what's happening in your herd and weather and all that. But ours are like 38, 39.
Oh, Megs, that's so cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it is amazing.
I'm seeing customers walk into the shops and ask for the somatic count to be put on the back of the bottle, because now this is meaningful and very important.
Yeah.
And so this is
it really is.
When you say calf at foot, this is ethical dairy. This is ethical. And just
it is.
Because I know you, Megs, I know it's not just your dairy, and we'll do hopefully another one on your meats, but I've seen how you treat your cows, and you have a lot of care, and you really care about them, and also you get Chansey to care about them too. So none of the cows are being hit with sticks, and they have a really good life, and I can taste it.
They really do.
And I can taste it. And I'm not even being over exaggerating, because we buy from other farmers in your area as well. And whenever you do have stock, this week Paulie told me to only buy from Megs. That has been instruction. And so we might take all of your stock at this point.
No, leave some for the rest of us, please.
What's really great is that when I buy from Megs, it's doing many things. It's caring for the pastures, it's caring for the cows, it's getting high quality nutrition, and if I want to, and if I can participate in a glass returnable thing, it's also lower plastic. So I just wish there were many more S and woods, and that's what we actually want to encourage. Consumers need to opt for S and woods, because it's going to come from.
I get frustrated with myself because, as I said, I can't have a milkshake if I go somewhere, or anything, actually, any milky drink. But we as customers, I think we need to go somewhere and say, are these chips cooked in beef tallow? No, I'm not going to have your chips or that steak, or I'm not going to have that drink if it's not. If it doesn't come from the consumer demanding change, then there's not going to be change. Then it's still going to be just the same thing as me, this little niche product who the people with a bit more money can afford, and it needs to be bigger. It needs to be there for everyone.
Yeah, it's a right, really, to have your choice of your nutrition. We shouldn't be restricted to about what we will eat and what we won't eat. It's actually quite political.
Yeah.
So
it is quite political, and that kind of goes. It sort of segues into, I guess, something that's on my mind is the frustration that's, because I think your product is a niche product, although I would love it to be the norm. It's still kind of niche, and that kind of niche element often is related to higher pricing. How do you tackle that, Meg, in an everyday context?
Yeah, my husband, he says something which is so true, because often I've said, he said, Megan, put your price up. You're not covering your costs. You've got to put your price up. And I'm like, oh, but I want people to have it. I don't want to be more expensive. And he always says to me, you've either got to be the cheapest or the best, but don't try to be both. So he always shouts at me and says that, and it's true in a way. And I think it's not easy what we do. It really isn't. It is exhausting. And I often think, gosh, I want other people to do it, but I don't know if I'm not trying to be funny, like I'm not trying to say something about me, like boast. But it was such a passion for me. It really was. From before I got my cows, it was a passion. From little, it's been a passion. I don't know. I wouldn't mind actually sort of consulting a bit. And if there were people that wanted to start, even I often think I wish there were some commercial systems that would make change, because I think the consumer wants change. And I would love to like work with people to make the changes, even I'm sure it could be upscaled. I really, really believe.
Yeah.
I also
Okay.
investigate lots of dairies in the UK well, they're not lots, there are a few that are calf-fed foot, but they're on a much larger scale. And it's not easy, but it is possible.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think
So, Meg, how many cows are you milking in the system?
I feel pathetic to say 8. 8.
Okay. But I mean, look at the business you've grown
I know.
out of 8
I know.
cows. Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
I know. And that's the
that's
thing.
really inspirational.
If people had to look, if the big guys had to look, there's going back to the Raw Milk Institute, the one guy who sort of heads it all up, Mark McAfee, he's got the largest, he's not calf-fed foot, I'll be honest about that, but he's got the largest raw milk dairy. And if you listen to one of his podcasts, it's very recent with, can't remember who it was with. I'll have to let you know. He became like a millionaire within 10 months.
Okay.
Like he was, yeah. So he's got like 3 different dairies spread across America now, all doing raw milk.
Okay.
And I mean, it's very interesting, but yeah,
Yeah.
it can be done. It can be done.
And with your dairy, because you've got your meat herd and then you've got your dairy herd. So with your eight herd with your dairy herd, how many liters of milk, like conservatively, would you say that you produce in I don't know, what would the
Well, it's sort of per cow.
Yeah, okay,
Per cow, really. So also we're not pushing them with concentrates. They are I do give them a little bit of concentrate just to keep them busy in the parlor while I'm working with them. But they are mainly grass-fed, and in summer the concentrate the pellet that they will be getting in summer is lucerne pellet as well. So they will be completely grass-fed in summer. But yeah, we're looking at between 10 and 15 liters. So no, it's probably about 17 liters a day.
Okay,
So that's in the morning there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, which is quite good actually
Yeah,
for a cow that's not big.
How often do you milk, mate? Do you milk once a day?
Twice a day.
Twice
A day.
Okay. Okay.
But it changes because it's very interesting. As your cow gives birth, she's obviously got too much milk for her calf. So we ease her burden and milk her out. As the calf grows from about 3 months old, when I'll milk her in the morning because we put the calves away at night. Then they are reunited and they're together all day. When she comes in for afternoon milking, she will be empty from about 3 months old. So she will be milking once a day at that stage.
Okay.
Because the calf will be taking all of the milk during the day.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once she's weaned from her calf, it'll be back to twice a day. So it changes. Yeah. But it's so beautiful from a mastitis control. For the same reason, when they sometimes calve in the beginning, they're really full of milk and engorged, and you can sometimes get mastitis problems. But you've got these calves that are cleaning out those udders beautifully every day for you. So it's a wonderful thing from that point of view as well.
that makes sense. Because I've heard some dairy farmers talk about the mastitis problems. And it just makes sense because they're not having calf suckling to solve those problems.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we should, Robs, when we look at like just a more standard dairy type, we must ask about the volumes per cow per day, and then also ask about the mastitis issues and all that jazz. It's a whole deep world that we could go. I do think it validates another episode.
Absolutely.
This is just touching. There's so much within each little sphere.
Yeah. But I think
because I mean, today we've really tried to focus on the consumer, you know, because as you said, the consumer is the one that has the power to change the industry. But at the same time, I would love to chat again and to talk about the farmer, you know, aim the episode to the farmers who could hear this and potentially want to change their systems, you know. I think certainly it is a long-term thing, especially if you look at a lot of the dairies in KZN, they are big dairies. You know, you're looking at around 600 cows or more, you know. But I think it's still something that you need to look into. I mean, Meg, I read that book, A Dairy Story, that you recommended, and they are milking 100 cows, you know, in the UK. And they're also an ethical dairy doing the same thing that you are. So I think it is certainly scalable. And I think your idea to possibly do consulting, I think that would be an amazing thing to do. Definitely. Because farmers need support, you know. Yeah.
They do. I worry a little bit in this country, and it might sound like I'm being ugly, but it is a fact that because the dairy farmers here, you know, we have so much labor that run the dairies. My son works in a big dairy. The staff are doing everything. You know, the farmer's actually not always right there on the ground like they are in the UK. Those farmers in the UK are in the pit milking their cows. They know each one. Not that our farmers don't know. They do know. They do love their cows, but it's not the same kind of hands-on. It really isn't. And you need that.
Right.
You do need that.
You're right.
So that is a difference.
Do you think, I mean, I know farmers are always crazy busy, like they're doing everything, but do you think that from our South African context, is that they are doing other things, or they just, is it just maximizing our position on affordable labor? Why do you think they're not getting involved?
I don't know. I don't like to say what my personal opinion is. It's not that kind.
Yeah.
No, but it really is. Big dairy farmers here are making a lot of money because the scale, they're huge. And they live a very cool life, hey. They really do. They live quite a high life, and I don't know. I don't know if it's like beneath them to be in the parlor. I don't know.
I think there's a lot to it. I think if you're looking at people who have perhaps inherited, perhaps their hearts and their souls aren't in it as much as their ancestors or their parents were. I think a lot of it has to do with personality, because you have to love livestock. You need to have a relationship with your livestock to do a good job. You know, we talk about high cases of mastitis. That's a management issue. You know, that's what it boils down to. So I think, Meg, you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think that
sensitive thing.
Yeah. Management is, you know, attention to detail and having caring about those animals.
Yeah.
It is a bit lacking. I think it's a bit calloused in the industry.
But it really is the you know, like if you think about what a farmer, like if you had to ask anybody what the picture of a farmer is, and Robs, you've touched on this, you know, khaki with long socks, and the thing of being a farmer is not an allure, right? And so maybe this is why there's a separation between what's the labor work and what's my work. You know, I sit at the desk, and maybe that's what my job should be, to manage this workforce. And I think whereas in the UK and US, like farming is now becoming so trendy and sexy that young people want to get into it. And
True.
to do a good job, you've got to have that connection, and you've got to observe. Observation is fundamental
It's
to
key.
everything.
It's key.
And without being
It
able
really
to
is.
observe, yeah. So I think it's also the South African concept of where my place is in this operation. And I think that if people, and I think it might, and I mean, I'm going to say, I think it's going to come from the youth, because it's going to be something that's, this wave of trend is going to make it desirable to get back into it again. And it's going to,
Yeah, I hope so.
going to be harder for people to change rather than to get into something. And I think,
Yeah.
but we can try and encourage and mentor. And I think that's also made if you do provide mentorship and guidance.
Yeah, yeah. I think it would be very hard to stand up in front of farmers that are milking 1,000 cows and tell them what to do when I've got 8. But
It's
but I
daunting.
understand. Yeah, they would actually laugh at me. They really would. But so I don't really know how to go about it. But yeah, they might not even laugh. They might swear at me.
I think
But
we start from a place where they have a good place in their heart, and we start with those guys.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have to start. It's religion. You can't knock on the door when somebody's not opening the door. If someone's curious, then we go from there.
Yeah,
You can't Bible bash
yeah.
people. So
No, you can't. No, you can't. But I suppose that's where that little circle closes, comes back to the consumer. If their products aren't selling because the consumer doesn't want that anymore, then they'll start to think there's got to be another route, and we need to look at something else. So there needs to be change somewhere. I don't know.
you know what I see? You know, this whole vegan movement, right? And it's really more about animal rights, and I see a move towards ethical food. And
Yeah,
because
me too.
you can get producers that are treating the animals well, and they have, you're getting a food source from them, they're doing it sustainably, they're also looking after the soil, animals' rights, and you're getting a highly nutritious product. Yeah, so I think it would be great.
Just a win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the thing is, nature doesn't really exist in absolutism. Like, we have to have balance. Like going back to the gut health thing, we have E. coli, but as long as there's a balance, we function well. And so we have to think about incorporating it into our systems. And I think that's what Robs and Katie and I really want to do, is try and give people ideas and invite them to ask their questions as well, because it just would be very exciting to start something very intentional, and where people are consciously thinking about these things that are very important to us, obviously, but I'm talking about to, like, the people I pass by, and I used to work with them when I worked at my desk job, and would never think twice before reaching on that shelf and thinking, I wonder who that farmer is, or I wonder how this was treated, or what was the process besides total sterilization, So
yeah.
it's important to get this ball rolling, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. This little conversation I had with someone I want to share with you, but it actually highlights so many different things. A lady phoned me from Nottingham Road a few weeks ago, and she said, "Hello, I'm looking for some raw milk. The dairy farmer that used to supply me has decided it's too much effort to supply people. How much is my milk?" So I told her what it is, and she said, "Oh no, I can't possibly pay that. It's way above what I can afford." And so I tried to explain why it's different. And she said, "Oh no, my farmer loves his cows very much as well." And she put the phone down on me. But, anyway, but I was trying to say, I wasn't saying he didn't love his cows. I just was trying to say how much effort and why it's so different. The way we care for our cows and the way we produce the milk is so different. Because there's actually 2 types of raw milk as well. That's interesting. If you're just getting raw milk out of a bulk tank from a dairy farmer, like the somatic cell counts tell you, it's not going to last, and the quality is not there because it doesn't need to be. That milk is destined for pasteurization, so they don't have to take care with it, So it's not going to last. 16 days in your fridge kind of thing.
Okay.
That was one thing. And then another thing my husband said to me after, he said, but she'll go to Woolworths and she'll pay more than what you're asking off the shelf. She'll buy milk that costs more than yours at Woolworths. Why shouldn't the farmer get that price?
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing as well.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting how people are thinking and what they think of raw milk and how they understand it all and that. So it was quite interesting for me to see all those different things out of that one little conversation.
Yeah. I think it also
Yeah, it's interesting.
that's where consumers are. They're based on convenience and price is often high with convenience. But when you were talking in the beginning, I was going to say how we are. So first of all, we paying for food that we know we do not know the farmer, or we do not know how they are producing the food, but we can be sure that this food that we are paying for is also being sprayed. So we're paying for sprayed food, and essentially we should be charged less for something that is less, like, inferior, and stuff that has sprays, chemicals, and that's inferior. And
Yeah, it is inferior food. It is.
that should be cheaper. And it's just about the supply chain. So yeah, it's something that's really big. It's a big mountain to tackle, but why not start? We're starting here, you mates. This is
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So wait, if somebody does want to go, I mean, I know I'm getting your milk and your butter and your beef when it's there. If somebody wants to go, I mean, I don't know if maybe we should say, we're all from KwaZulu-Natal, but if somebody in KZN does want to buy your milk or your butter or whatever it is, where do they go, or what should they do?
So there's a few different options. So there's Hope Meats Butchery, and then and you shop Natural Health. I don't know where that is. I think it's Durban North as well. She started taking in the last couple of weeks as well.
Okay.
And then the Loafers Low Carb store in Hillcrest takes a bit. They don't all take all of the products. So if there was something specific that they don't take, you can ask for it, and I think they would just request for it to be sent. We can do that.
Okay.
Or we can ship via courier as well. We do that for quite a few people. And then there's the Rico Market in Howick and Hopewell Supplies in Howick. And then privately from my husband's office as well in Howick. Yeah, so there are a few, but people are amazing because it is a lot of effort and you have to be more intentional about getting your food. It's not easy, which I feel badly about. But we're just not at that stage yet where it's affordable to ship,
Distribution. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good to know. So it's going to be on the coastal side. It's Hope Meats Natural. What did that place you said?
Natural Health.
Okay. And then within Howick. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, mates. Rob, do you
Meg?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you always for your transparency. I think you don't just talk the talk, but you walk the walk. And I think that's something that's really honorable. And just want to say thank you. Thank you for your transparency. It's something we need. Certainly. I mean, you put it on your milk bottle, you put it there. You say, come and see, come and visit us. So
I think that is very important. And if I had to be looking, with all the things I've learned, if I had to be looking for another producer, I would definitely, before buying one bottle, I would go and see what is happening on that farm. Yeah, and do your own little tests. Put it in the fridge, and that's the first sign of cleanliness, is how long that milk is lasting. So you don't even need fancy tests, whatever. Just put it in your fridge and see how long it lasts. Straight away, you'll know what's happening there. Yeah.
No, I think we're definitely going to venture into like good detail in a second and third one. We want to talk about your beef because Yeah, it's something that is beautiful. It's really, especially,
Something
yeah.
so interesting the other day, we haven't had our own beef. So I went and bought from a place that's doing beef locally
Yeah.
the other day, and I brought it home, and my cats go mad for my mince usually.
Mm.
And I put it on the counter, and they took one sniff and jumped off the counter and ran away.
Oh no.
They wouldn't
What
even
do they
smell
know?
it. What is it? I said to my husband,
Yeah.
look at this. What is in that beef I'm told that's grass-fed beef.
Mm.
It doesn't look the same as mine, first of all.
Yeah.
It
The
doesn't smell
color.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the cats told me straight away.
And could you smell a
Wow.
difference, Megs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And taste, color,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when it's cooking, you get that different smell. It's
Funny.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very off-putting.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it would be great to be in the butcher and seeing, or
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't even
Yeah.
start at the butcher. It's probably on the farm. Yeah.
I think it's maybe what they're eating. I don't know. But I'm interested myself to know. I really want to find out more. Yeah.
Lots of trials
Fascinating.
for us.
Yes. And I
Cool.
think that's something that needs to be done. I want to, I've spoken to you, Nats, about doing it,
Mm.
and I haven't done it yet, is to actually go to I think it's Green Fields or Green Hill
Greenfield.
Labs in
Green Hill,
Fields,
yeah.
Green
Green
Hill,
Hill.
yeah, in Hilton, and to get a profile of our meat and our milk. I think that's important, and that should be on the bottle so people can see as well. The omega-6s are down. What's that? The bad ones, the sixes, hey?
Yes,
I think
sixes
so.
are bad,
Yeah.
The
So
omega 63 ratio.
yeah. So in milk and grass-fed beef, the threes should be prominent and not the sixes.
Mm.
So
It's going to
all
take
those
a lot
things
of
should be there.
not a lot, but it's going to take short snips of digestible educational information so that people can understand what this information needs. It's the same with like Rob's and our compost. With if we talk about fungal to bacteria ratios, or we talk about predatory organisms, and you're just talking about compost, people are like, where are you from? It's kind of like, how do you relate that to what you're using it for and what will you see? So I think
Yes.
this information, obviously, we're from the same information oriented, wanting this information. I
Yeah.
think it would help to do once you have those stats. I mean, that's your power. That's your like boom.
It's huge.
Yeah,
It's
big.
huge
Yes.
because I heard the other day in a health talk that if your omega-6s are high, it causes inflammation in the body. So straight away, that is a very meaningful thing. Straight away, off the bat, that's important.
And that's where red meat
That's
gets
what
the bad
everyone
rep.
is dealing with.
Yeah, that's where red meat gets a bad rep. It's because of the diet of the beef. But now we are going into that episode, so let's keep that for
let's save it for the
episode.
next one.
Yeah.
Okay. But Liz, it was really cool chatting to you, and I hope you had fun and to join us the second time, the third, and maybe fourth.
No, it is great fun. Thank you for your time too.
Thank you so much, Meg.
Thanks, Meg. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Keep well. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks, Meg.